Hey everybody, welcome to the MGF Podcast. This is episode show with a temporary name where we talk Lego, movies, and whatever else. My name is Ross, and joining me is Tait.
Hello everybody, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
Today we have a lot of great topics for you guys. We're going to be talking about Shazam, we're going to be talking about Aladdin, Hellboy, James Gunn and Endgame, we're going to be talking Lego leaks. But before we get into that, it's never fun to start with tragedy, but this week has not been a good week for the community. Ross, would you like to tell the viewers?
Yeah, so this past week, our friend Jackson, Wavy Films, passed away. I was fighting bone cancer since last year, and it still is pretty surreal that he's gone. The Lego community, the online customizing community, has never experienced something like this, and we are kind of starting with a bit of a downer here now that he's gone. But I think it's so worth mentioning because he meant so much to all of us, and he was only 16 or 17. I really cannot even begin to comprehend what his family must be going through right now. So I know it's not much, but just thoughts and prayers to his entire family. I wish I got to know him better, and I wish I got to know them better. I saw them briefly at Brick Fair. They're just great people, and he deserves so much more.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would like to add, just please, Lego community, be respectful of him, his family, and his friends. I saw some pretty rude comments, so please just be respectful.
Yeah, that unfortunately comes with it, I guess. But this is episode 1 of the MGF Podcast. We said it's a temporary name because we are probably going to change it once we get something more clever. But anybody joining who doesn't know who I am, which is probably pretty unlikely at the start here, but my name is Ross. Some people call me Michael. I've been a minifig customizer in the community since 2008, and I've been going ever since then. When I was 9 years old, making custom Lego minifigures, reviewing Lego sets, and it has been a great time. But one thing that's always been kind of absent from all that content, is the long form content. So being able to really talk about things beyond, the 10 to 40 minute time scope with YouTube videos. So, I'm always showcasing minifigures, always reviewing Lego sets, never really able to fully insert my thoughts on things or really have a long form discussion up until I met Tait here, and we just had some really great talks on PS4.
Yes,
we were playing Red Dead Redemption 2, literally just online on Red Dead 2, just wandering around, not even playing, just talking. And so when I realized how compatible we would be for a podcast and how long him and I can talk, I was like, dude, we got to do this. This has got to be a thing. And yeah, man. So we're joined here, of course, like I said, by Bison Horn Games. Tait, what's up, man?
Hey, man. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. Yeah, Ross and I, we hit it off real quick. It's kind of surreal to me that we've been friends for like 5-6 months though, because it feels like it's been so much shorter than that.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm Tait. I'm Bison Horn Games. I make Lego tabletop games. The current game is Into the Inferno. You can check that out on my Instagram. There's a link in the description, and then on Twitch there's a button. But anyway, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Now let's jump into the podcast. First off, we're going to be talking about Shazam. Now, Shazam Twitter reviews, pre-reviews, whatever you want to call them, are really positive. People are saying that this is the best DC movie. They're saying it's the best DCEU movie. They're saying that it's turning a new leaf for DC. I'm super excited about that. Ross, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really been keeping too close of an eye on Shazam. Of course, I've seen the trailers. I haven't, gotten to the hype level to where I've been watching the trailers multiple times or anything, or even keeping up with the stories on it. But I mean, if it really, listen, Aquaman turned a new leaf for the DCEU, right? Their Wonder Woman did it in 2017. You can keep doing this. You can keep bringing in movies on the B-list superheroes. I hate to say it, but Shazam is absolutely a B-list superhero, as great as this is going to be. But you see, I understand that DC said that they're going to be now branching off, and they're making solo movies that are not taking place in the larger DCEU, and they're just really focusing on the solo separate movies. And it's like, well, here's the problem. Your separate solo movies are still directly referencing the DCEU and clearly take place in it. So you still have an absent Batman. You are still you still have Superman not there. And so again, it just, for me, always comes back to this question as somebody who absolutely loved the DCEU and its foundational films, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. How far are we going to get with this? How far are we going to get before they have to circle back around and just be blatant about it? Yeah, Batman, new guy. Superman, new guy. Idris Elba's Deadshot now. Listen, man, for me, that breaks the cinematic universe. That breaks my immersion as a fan. And so I'm excited for Shazam. I am looking forward to it as a solo movie. It looks and sounds like, based on what you're saying, it sounds like it's a really fun time. And honestly, it looks like a lot of passion has been inserted into it. It's just, again, for me, I just wonder, how far are we going to get with this?
Yeah, so I don't have much of a problem with them breaking the cinematic universe due to the fact that it failed. I'm not big on the whole cinematic universe thing as it is. That's kind of what holds me back from being a super dedicated Marvel guy. But I love the fact that Wonder Woman was a great solo movie. Besides the end, the end drives me nuts. The last 15 minutes of Wonder Woman, killing off the main protagonist main antagonist, and then going to this weird side. We heard about him at the beginning. That was weird, but anyway, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Aquaman was really, really good. It wasn't great in my opinion. From a film standpoint, it wasn't great, but it was good. They brought in a lot of good ideas and that kind of stuff. If Shazam is good, has a good story, brings in good ideas, that kind of stuff is at least a 7 or 8 out of 10 from a movie standpoint. I think that DC will start understanding, hey, solo movies are a forte. Just let's do solo movies that are really strong, because that's going to build a better library for them as opposed to them jumping right into a cinematic universe again. So like I said, I don't have much problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm like super latched on to cinematic universes either.
Yeah.
It's just they're still pretending like they're in DCEU. Again, they've created this gray area around the failure of it all. And so you have the movies, again, taking place in the DCU, but they're just not really mentioning it as much, and not being as direct about it. So what I'm saying is, I wish that they would do something like they are already doing with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Just say, hey, this is not in the DCU. We're just going separate. This is something totally different. I wish they would just, plant the flag in the sand and just say, this is the direction we're going.
This is
not everything's going to take place. Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
I just don't know where they go from here. And so I'm excited to see Shazam. I'm excited for Wonder Woman 2. I'm excited for Aquaman 2. But again, it's just like, how long are we going to stretch the B-list characters? Yeah, like, it's not saying Wonder Woman's a B-list character, but I mean, it's like, again, what are we going to get?
It's not Batman, Superman. It's like It's like having an MCU without Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah, I mean,
Wonder Woman.
I think plenty of people have already like made that same distinction of what if Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans bailed after the first Avengers? It's
and the first Avengers came out before their solo movies, so we don't have any build up or any perspective of the greater universe. No, just put the freaking team up movie first. That's just so stupid in my opinion.
Yeah, and speaking of the Avengers, we should probably mention that we're going to get to Avengers Endgame. It's going to be like the whole final bit of the podcast for anybody wondering.
Yeah, the whole second act of the podcast is going to be Avengers Endgame. So if you're stick around for that if you're interested. But anyway, that's it for Shazam. Like I said, very positive previews. Now a new Aladdin trailer came out this week. I got a little meme that I made last night of the genie. Yeah, it looks weird. I'm sorry, but it looks weird. It looks weird.
You still don't like it?
No. The second trailer kind of secured the whole "it looks weird" thing. The Cinderella movie wasn't very good. I saw that one.
I liked it.
From a filmmaking standpoint, it was very, very much. It wasn't great like the cartoon. It was very much. It played it safe in a lot of areas and was very stale. The Jungle Book movie was freaking awesome. I loved that movie. That movie is like my favorite Disney remake movie.
But arguably following like that same formula of rehashing the story. I mean, that's what these movies are. It's just a rehash of the story updated with today's technology, with filmmaking, and what we have today. And I mean, I think that's fine. So when people like always present the argument of like, hey, why are they doing Lion King? We already have animated Lion King. Why do we need CG Lion King? Because, hey man, it's just updating the movie.
So
that's all this is.
My issue isn't the fact that they're updating the movie. I think that that's freaking awesome, especially with Cinderella, Snow White, all these movies that are almost 100 years old, that are coming on 80. My issue is that Disney is playing it extremely safe. They're not doing anything new, because no matter what you do in filmmaking, I mean, through all of the screenplays that I've written through, just personal enjoyment, you got to take risks somewhere along the line. It can't just be very simple and formulaic.
I agree and disagree, because I mean, personally, man, I just appreciate the update to it. Yeah. And this is going to be a wildly unpopular opinion because of, how dear all the original Disney movies are. But it's like, look, man, if I have the option of showing like my kid, 10 or so years from now, like, hey, there's this movie, Disney movie is called Lion King or The Jungle Book, I'm probably going to show them the new versions. I don't know.
So here's the thing, though. So they changed enough to make the identity of the movie different than the original, and I'm not even talking about the physical aspects, the visual aspects. I'm talking about the script and that kind of stuff and the storylines.
Right.
But they don't change it enough to make it its own unique movie. Now, I don't care if Aladdin goes to Agrabah, but and all that kind of stuff is rehashed, because that's great. But like with the Jungle Book movie, they changed up the entire story. It had its own identity. It was so new and it was so refreshing.
Oh, they did, didn't they? I forgot.
They changed the entire story. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I think that's the only time that a Disney live-action remake has really changed the story. It changed the plot line, I mean. Not the story, but the plot line. Which was great, in my opinion. So I really hope that with Aladdin, they change it up. I really do. And by the second trailer,
I mean,
it doesn't look like that.
Based on what we're seeing, I mean, I am, on board, for the most part, because I'm just, like I said, I'm a sucker for good visuals, and if they're improving Will Smith's Genie and it won't be too jarring, I'm just kind of excited to just kind of go and mindlessly watch it.
Yeah, dude,
if I'm being honest,
so you're in good hands.
Like, I agree with what you're saying about needing to change up maybe, at least a few things to make it stand out and distinguish it from the original. But at the same time, I just kind of want to go and watch the CG.
No. I mean, it's Disney. We're not going to be disappointed CG-wise. But, but anyway, let's move on to Hellboy. Hellboy's coming out pretty soon. I think it's April 5th. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But yeah, Hellboy's coming out soon. I'm a huge fan of the graphic novel series. I'm a huge fan of the movies, the Guillermo del Toro movies that came out in the early 2000s. Ross, have you seen those movies?
Dude, I have literally no idea what it is. I just know that it's kind of weird and disturbing looking, and you got Ron Perlman in the original, which is amazing, and now they've got Hopper for the reboot. So great. That's literally all I know.
So Ross, essentially Hellboy is a satirical graphic novel series. It's pretty much saying, hey, comic book heroes are stupid, and it kind of commentates on it. And it does so in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, just like The Watchmen does, where they satirize comic book the genre, but they don't explicitly say it. Anyway, the new Hellboy movie looks awesome. The makeup looks awesome. All the casting they've shown looks great. I'm super excited about Hellboy. I think that it's going to be an awesome movie. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I know it's not a huge talking point because it's kind of my thing, and as opposed to both of our things. But yeah, moving on to the MCU news, James Gunn, he's back. Holy crap.
Dude, I was not expecting this.
Me neither.
I mean, holy crap. I mean, it was weird, man, because I was just thinking about him and how much of a shame it was that he got cut short. And then literally like 20 minutes later, I get the text from a friend of mine, and it was like, oh, man, you know, how great is this? Because like I think everybody has been saying, it is a win for second chances, and you know, a course correct for something that never should have happened. Because listen, man, I know that James Gunn, pretty much all he was doing while writing Guardians 3 was just going on Twitter on political tirades, expressing his views. And it's not it's like that there's anything wrong with that. It's just from what I understand, and I wasn't following him myself, but I think he was doing it in excess. And then so you had some other not so great people take issue with that, and then they dug up those tweets that were just from him in the early days, desperate to break into the industry, trying to get attention by saying whatever. And this is back when the internet wasn't as sensitive. And so he forgot to delete those tweets. I think he even apologized for them when he landed the Guardians gig back in 2012 or 13 or whenever it was. He did apologize for those tweets originally, like many years ago, just no one knew about it. And then he forgot to delete them. And now it came back to haunt him all these years later. And for Disney to just shut him down and cut the trilogy short, you know, obviously it was a mistake, but there are also reports now that it was apparently already in the works that they were going to let this blow over and secretly made a deal with him for him to come back. So there was just kind of like maybe Disney had this planned out from the beginning, and it was just a PR move to be like, all right, we gotta publicly fire you right now. But in a few months when this blows over and people have settled down, we will bring you back on board, and it'll work out because everybody will have gotten over it. And if that was the case and that was their plan, oh my God, they were right, because I have never seen such love expressed to somebody like this. I mean, like both Johnny Depp now and James Gunn, it just feels almost unprecedented because they have been essentially uncanceled. And yeah, I think it's pretty crazy, man.
I will say, I think it's super screwed up. I think it's super screwed up for Disney to come out and say, for all of the more, let's just generalize, I don't want to get political, but the more, you know, super far left Twitter people and the super overly progressive to the point where they're no longer progressive. I feel like they did it to pander and to that audience and make sure that audience stayed on for the Marvel movies, you know, specifically younger generations, because that's who's watching the Marvel movies. I think they kind of did it for that, and then they said, hey, for the people that really do care about the future of Guardians of the Galaxy, here's this. So already at the time they were dealing with all of the Captain Marvel controversy, so they wanted to make sure, oh my God, we're having this issue because of the fact that, let's just generalize, more, you know, alt-right people are getting frustrated with the whole Captain Marvel thing. We have to pander to both sides in a way. Let's fire James Gunn. Let's kind of pull the trigger, not the trigger, but kind of push back Brie Larson from all of her, you know, whatever she's doing. But yeah, Disney's fascist, and they'll do anything to keep their workers happy. Unfortunately, and I think that they're just trying to please as many people as possible. But I think firing somebody and then rehiring them in a PR stunt, I don't think it's the greatest choice for their image, I should say, because I think a lot of Marvel fans, specifically Guardians of the Galaxy fans, are kind of blinded by, oh my God, James Gunn's back, as opposed to actually looking at the fact that no, Disney's fascist and they're acting like super sensory fascists.
I mean, listen, I honestly am concerned for James Gunn, because if he wasn't on this PR stunt of theirs and he didn't know that he was going to be coming back on, it's like, man, the mental gymnastics that he's been put through with Disney having, you know, this is all speculation on our part. We don't actually know what the hell went down behind the scenes to make this happen, but absolutely, man, I just hope it doesn't affect his work. I'm so happy that he's coming back for Guardians 3, because listen, I think he is the spirit of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, you know, 100%. Like, he is the one who breathes life into that, and into those characters and into this franchise and into this part of the MCU. I think that they kind of gave him a little too much leeway for Volume 2. He was bringing in his brother Sean Gunn, craggling a little too much. He was making too many dick jokes. I was really not on board with a good portion of Volume 2. So I hope that he kind of reels it back in for Volume 3 whenever, this movie does finally make it to theaters, probably 2022.
Yeah.
But I'm excited because I honestly, I don't really think anybody would have done better. I think, listen, before this happened, and I think I think we talked about this before, but it's like, I think that if they didn't bring James Gunn back on, the best case scenario to wrap up the Guardians trilogy would have been to bring on Taika Waititi, but that wouldn't have worked because he already expressed that he didn't want to do it, which is a shame because he absolutely, I think, is capable.
Yeah,
after Ragnarok, and then
specifically for Guardians of the Galaxy as well, because Guardians or Thor Ragnarok is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, if you ask me.
Essentially, it's very similar tonally, and so if they brought in Thor, Valkyrie, Korg, Hulk, and then the rest of the Guardians cast, maybe minus Drax, but obviously I think Dave Bautista will be coming back now that we got James Gunn. But if you had Taika Waititi bridging the Guardians of the Galaxy cast and the Thor Ragnarok cast, you would have as Guardians of the Galaxy, and it would be amazing. But hey, man, they're not going that route. They did get James Gunn back on, and I'm really happy. That means he's going to be the first director in the MCU to conclude a trilogy.
Yes, that's true. Oh my gosh, that's monumental.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. Yeah. But anyway, somebody in chat saying Suicide Squad 2. No, it's a complete reboot. The new Suicide Squad is a complete reboot. I think that is the best course of action. It is the Suicide Squad, no longer Suicide Squad. It is the. Very important. Very important.
Yeah, listen, man. When I saw this, I was really excited that. And by the way, we forgot to mention James Gunn is still doing the Suicide Squad for
awesome?
DC.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great for them. I personally couldn't care less about whatever is going on in the DCEU, but I am excited that he's still apparently able to keep both projects going. I don't know how he's going to manage that. He's only one guy.
Is he gonna kamikaze Suicide Squad just to give Guardians of the Galaxy 3 more attention? That's another thing to think about, which I don't think he would do because that would lose his integrity as an artist. But just to think about.
Absolutely. I don't think so, but at the same time, like I've already expressed, I really don't care how it turns out because I'm already seeing too many red flags. It's a reboot of the Suicide Squad, and so how do you distinguish
Suicide Squad?
Yeah, but okay, yeah, the confusion is already starting. You see what I mean? This is exactly what I mean. So the delineation is we had Suicide Squad in 2016, the full-on launch of that franchise with that cast, and now we're rebooting, and it's the Suicide Squad, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, but to be fair,
no,
totally different. Totally different.
Oh my god, and dude, then we get the announcement that Will Smith had some scheduling issues, so we're just gonna pull him out and drop in Idris Elba because why not?
He was the only good part of Suicide Squad, in my opinion. I own that movie on Blu-ray because I wanted to give the extended version a chance, which it was not that much better. It was better, but not that much. But Will Smith Deadshot was the only good thing in that movie, just like I think that Ben Affleck Batman was the only good thing in Batman vs.
I think Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was perfect.
Perfect casting. Birds of Prey, I hope that's good.
Man. We've got to get off the DC topic because there's just...
Yeah. Let's switch gears because this is MCU time. I have comic book movie pulled up right now, and I have a couple of stats I want to discuss about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is the second highest grossing DC movie of all time. Not DC.
movie.
MCU movie. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, man. Crucify the man.
MCU movie, the second highest grossing. It has, what is it? Let me pull up the stat right quick. I believe it's $700 million thus far, only beaten out by Infinity War.
Wow.
That is insane. It's actually 450 million. That's nuts, especially for a solo movie.
Oh man.
But anyway.
Wow.
I'm reading right here, comicbookmovie.com. This broke 16 hours ago. Kevin Feige says Captain Marvel is about to lead the entire cinematic universe. Why? Why? They're pulling a DC.
Oh, no.
They're pulling a DCEU. They're saying, hey, this person was in 2 movies. Now they're leading everything. Now they're the main woman. Why are Iron Man and Captain America the 2 lead faces of the MCU? Because of the fact that they have been in movies since 2008 and
have embodied the characters like perfectly with so much charisma to carry the franchise.
Not only did they embody the characters perfectly, but they kept going through each movie, developing the character, going ups and downs. With both of them, their suits changed depending on their personality during the movies, which is something I really like, by the way. I like how the beginning of Winter Soldier, when he's wearing the stealth suit for the first half of the movie, because of the fact that he's now, running from S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, whatever you want to call it, but now that he's running away. And then at the end, where he makes himself known, he wears the classic costume, the super bright stars and stripes. I love that. But anyway, Captain Marvel, she's been in 1 movie, she's gonna be in 2 movies, and then she's leading everything? Is Endgame gonna be Captain Marvel Fest?
Because do you have the exact quote pulled up? What did he say?
Let me pull it up right now. I'm gonna skim through the article. Okay, here it is right now. Let me close this pop-up ad. This is so stupid. Carnival, please move. I can't close it. There's no close button. This is so weird. There's literally no close button on this pop-up ad, so I can't get to the quote. I'm gonna copy and paste it and send it to Discord and read it off there. Okay, so when we found out that Brie Larson might be interested in joining our world, we had a number of meetings. She was a huge fan of the character in the comics. One of the highlights of my career at Marvel was introducing her at Comic-Con and having her come out on stage and stand there with literally almost everybody else from our movies. There she was at the forefront, and it was great foreshadowing. Not just for how the audiences are going to embrace Brie as this character, but also for how Captain Marvel is about to take the lead and be at the forefront of the entire cinematic universe. No, Kevin Feige, just because of the fact that Comic-Con people enjoy her presence does not mean that the entire comic book fan base, the entire movie, the people that go to Comic-Con that wait in 2-day lines like you do, Ross, at Star Wars Celebration, those are the people that are going to be excited about anything you show them. So to base your opinion on the entirety of your universe off of the most dedicated fans that will accept anything, the freaking promisers and all of that kind of stuff, the defenders of the MCU, you can't build your entire universe off of those people.
I understand what he's saying.
I do as well, but
I appreciate it, but listen, man, this is something that I was concerned about from the very beginning. As 2014, when Chris Evans, and the actor started to express interest in leaving, and I'm so glad they've stuck around. They've really stuck it out and made it to the end, man, with Endgame. And so, but the question has always been in the background: how, will Feige's plan will it survive beyond the 2 actors that made it work? Because it's like
it would have if they said, "Hey, we're keeping Chris Hemsworth." What does he play? He plays Thor. Brain fart. But anyway, we're keeping Thor as the kind of head man, which he's not a great leading man. I mean, the first Thor movies were okay. They weren't as good as the Iron Man and Captain America movies. But anyway, we're keeping Thor as the leading man. We're keeping Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner, who's a brilliant character, in my opinion, that was completely butchered in Infinity War. But anyway, that's for later discussion when we talk about Endgame. But anyway, do a buddy cop thing with Thor and Bruce Banner for a couple movies. Keep Carol Danvers as a side character. I just totally blanked. I said her alter ego. I didn't say her name. Captain Marvel. Keep Captain Marvel as a side background character. Not really a side character, but make her Thor.
Slowly phase her in. You're saying,
exactly. So Captain America and Iron Man die in Endgame. I think they're going to anyway. It would make sense, but they die in Endgame. Thor and Bruce Banner take over a buddy cop thing for a couple movies where they're leading the Avengers really headstrong, and it's not quite working out. And then Captain Marvel says, "Hey Thor, I'm more powerful than you. I'm better than you in every way. This is me leading the Avengers, and then they can do the whole like, yeah, Captain Marvel's our best hero, and then just kind of that whole thing. I mean, you can't just put her into the spotlight right after her 2 debut movies. And if Endgame is Captain Marvel Fest, I'm gonna be extremely frustrated. Infinity War was Tony Stark. I really hope that Endgame is Captain America Steve Rogers, because if it's not, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Listen, man. I like I was saying, I had so many doubts about, what the MCU is going to look like post Endgame because of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris. But the thing is, listen, man, I think Brie Larson is a great actress, but she's an introverted actress. And she also, I don't think, was given the most stupendous script in Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is a good, and it's a really great watch. But I didn't walk out of that movie thinking, oh yeah, she will shepherd the MCU for the next decade. That doesn't seem possible to me. I hope I'm wrong. It's just, to me, I appreciate Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, but she doesn't bring this same personality. She doesn't bring the same charisma that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans do. And so I just don't know, man, because, and even Black Panther would suffer from the same problem. It's like, do these characters have enough depth to carry on the MCU after RDJ and after Chris Evans? And I mean, personally, I lean more toward Doctor Strange and Spider-Man doing that and extending the MCU out, and then also introducing the Fantastic Four and letting them do it, and the X-Men, and those characters could lead the MCU while still having Captain Marvel there and still having Black Panther there and still, it's just, but to me, when I think of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as I always have for the last 10 years, it's always been Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Iron Man and Captain America. To then shift gears after Endgame and look through the lens of, now the MCU is completely represented by Captain Marvel, a character with, less depth and less personality, in my opinion. It's just really hard. Yeah, man. And it's like, even like Black Widow, if she survives, I think she could really help in shepherding the MCU forward. Or, of course, Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch and Paul Bettany as Vision, if Vision comes back. I think even Black Widow and Scarlet Witch bring more to the table than Brie Larson has. And a lot of people may come out and say, hey, man, they've had multiple movies to get there. And if you ask me, I mean, back in 2010, ScarJo came out the gate swinging in Iron Man 2 with that personality. And Elizabeth Olsen, maybe not so much. They probably came out a lot more in Civil War. That's when she really fully developed into Scarlet Witch, after Quicksilver's death.
Absolutely.
So I understand waiting until Endgame to really cast final judgments on this topic, but at the same time, man, Endgame was shot first before Captain Marvel, and so it makes me kind of concerned, because I was hoping that hopefully this will still be the case for shot, but I hope the Russo brothers were able to bring out something in Brie Larson that maybe the director of Captain Marvel wasn't, because I still don't fully believe that she can carry the MCU beyond Endgame.
So I do want to say, during my insomniatic experience last night, I don't know, I'm trying to cast insomnia in a positive light because it happens to me all the time. I watched Infinity War, as well as, what other movie did I watch? I watched the movie Her. We're not going to talk about that. That's a great movie. That's like one of the best movies.
I haven't seen it. I've always wanted to watch that.
It's great. It's an absolutely great movie. But anyway, in Infinity War, Black Widow is always seen at the front lines with Captain America. She's always at the front. It's like they're the two leaders. It's not even like Captain America is the lead Avenger. Captain America and Black Widow are the lead Avengers. Right? Yeah. So why in all hell is Captain Marvel going to take that spot when Black Widow already has it? Black Widow is a lead Avenger. If you watch the movie, like she's always framed next to or beside or something with Steve Rogers whenever something important's happening. When they see Senator Ross, is he Senator? What is his role? I don't remember.
Secretary.
Secretary Ross. When they see Secretary Ross, when they go confront not the Maw. What is the female Thanos? children. I don't know. Whatever her name
Proxima
is.
Midnight?
That's the one. Whenever they do something that is big and has a lot of importance, it's Steve Rogers, and who's next to him? Black Widow. And now they're going to say, oh no, Black Widow's just going to do her own thing, and Captain Marvel's going to take that spot. It's unnatural.
I agree, man. And that's why I'm also very much looking forward to... I feel like Black Widow is by far the most underdeveloped Avenger in the MCU. I mean, they talk about her past, you hear about it, you saw one kind of weird flashback in Age of Ultron that was kind of odd because it just looked like Black Widow as we know her now, wearing a weird wig, and didn't really amount to much.
Yeah.
But, so I'm really looking forward to that. But, I agree. I think that she has absolutely stood there as a secondary leader of the Avengers, right beside Steve and Tony. And so for her to take a step back and allow Captain Marvel to take the reins, I feel like could be unnatural. And I mean, ultimately, we could be blowing all of this out of proportion.
Absolutely.
And maybe Kevin Feige does have a plan, and maybe he didn't mean it quite so directly, even though it certainly sounded that way. And I think that Brie Larson could get there,
Absolutely.
but she's not there right now.
Yeah, I say we don't judge a movie before it comes out, but it's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about. I like I said, I watched Infinity War last night, and I have a couple of complaints that I didn't have upon my first viewing.
Yeah.
And you're probably gonna crucify me for this, but there are a couple,
no.
There are a couple of things that didn't sit well with me after really listening in and looking at it from a more critical standpoint, as opposed to being sitting in a movie theater and going, oh my god, the Avengers are fighting. So the first thing I want to address is when Stephen Strange looks through the 14 million possibilities and says only one time they win. That is creating such artificial stakes. That is so artificial because the cast signed on for Endgame. That doesn't mean anything to us, right? That whole 14 million thing, that was so strange, so unorganic, and so like, okay, Disney, fuck you. I'm sorry for using that word. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be a family-friendly podcast. I will keep that on post, but that frustrated me. And then a second thing is just the complete slaughter of Bruce Banner. The complete... I mean, Shuri's smart, right? Okay, great. But Bruce Banner is supposed to be just as smart or smarter than Tony. We see that a lot in Age of Ultron, where he's a very serious character. Now, did we see a more jovial, jokey side of him in Thor 3? Absolutely. Was that fine in the context of that movie? Absolutely. But continuing on, making that his main character trait is so strange.
Yeah.
I really wish we would have saw Bruce Banner in the lab with Shuri, because why the hell is Bruce Banner in the Iron Man Hulkbuster armor? That didn't make any sense to me. That didn't make any sense to me at all. Why not just put him in the lab with Shuri?
Yeah, man. Like, I think that the problem with Avengers Infinity War is we were all looking forward to it for 4 years, and it lived up to expectations. But for me, I think silently, I've always kind of kept it to myself that it mostly got 85 to 90% of the way there. Yeah. In the sense that I still cannot believe Steve Rogers only had 6 minutes of screen time, regardless of his screen time in Endgame and how much more he's going to get.
I don't care if he has 2 hours in Endgame out of a 3-hour movie. No, it was criminal to underutilize him.
Yeah, so there's that, and then I think that this idea of Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner kind of not being so good could come off as foreign to some people. So, like, to put it into context, personally, and I think Tate, you would agree that Thor Ragnarok was a drastic departure for both Thor and Bruce Banner in terms of their characters and how they behave.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people argue that it was for the better. I would argue the opposite, because to me, they were no longer playing Thor. He was no longer, like, Chris Hemsworth was no longer playing Thor, the God of Thunder, the King of Asgard, the Viking sort of character that we've always known him to be. Mark Ruffalo wasn't really playing the genius, that we've always known since, the Avengers in 2012. And to me, this was a regression in character, because they were now playing... Chris Hemsworth was playing Chris Hemsworth, and Mark Ruffalo was playing Mark Ruffalo. And that's a problem because those aren't the characters that have already been established. And I think that the Russo brothers really endeavored to reel him back in, Chris Hemsworth. So in Infinity War, we got Thor back. You know, when he's on board the Benatar and he says to Rocket, "Will you join me on my quest?" And you believe him as Thor again. When he goes after the Stormbreaker, you understand that he needs it. And, you know, they're dropping the arc from Ragnarok that he doesn't. He does. You know, he needs the weapon. Yeah. And so I appreciated that. But then the Russo brothers and you know, the writers kind of fell flat on also reeling Mark Ruffalo back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you still had the same Bruce Banner that Mark Ruffalo was playing in Ragnarok, which to me was not so good. And they just really went all in on it for Infinity War. And so it almost felt like Bruce was detached from the situation.
It felt like he was shoehorned in. Starting from the New York incident at the very beginning of Infinity War, he never felt like a natural character to be in that spot. He never did. Him being a buffoon on the battlefield, being babysat by Wong and by Tony, it wasn't Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner would say, "Holy crap, I need to get the heck out of here." He could have taken an Oracle role where he kind of looks at the battlefield and says, "Okay, Tony, you got to do this, and Steven, you got to do this, and this, that, and the other." It just, oh my gosh, he had such a good character in Age of Ultron. He was one of the greatest parts of that movie.
I think that sorry to cut you off, dude, but
no problem.
I just feel like I think this would have been better. I think that if they laid the groundwork for the Hulk becoming another dominant personality in Infinity War, they kind of like, you know, for Ragnarok, they were like, hey, you know, Hulk he has his own personality now that he's been the Hulk for 2 years. Yeah. And then in Infinity War, when he reverses back to Bruce Banner, you have the Hulk now as a personality who's kind of like, hey, I'm not okay with this. And you start to lay the groundwork, but he's still cooperating. You know, he's still coming out for the Battle of Wakanda. He's still there. And then you get to Endgame, and then it becomes more of a problem as you progress. And then after we get past Endgame, you can start messing around with the two distinct Hulk personalities. Yeah, absolutely. But to get to this ultimate culmination of the MCU and do it, I think, was a shame. But again, it's hard to criticize Infinity War because these are the only problems that, I personally, and maybe you have with it, that go unspoken. Oh, yeah. You know, because the rest, the other 90% of the movie is phenomenal. But
awesome. Oh my god!
You know, it's been a year. It's been a year now. We've adored the movie. You know, like nonstop since. So I think it's worth the discussion here, bringing this up, and also like you were saying with Doctor Strange and the 14,605. I think it was something. I was like, listen, man. Like you said, artificial stakes. What is that number? Who coughed up that number? You're telling me that he actually went through that many realities? It's like he basically has just been looking at different realities and different outcomes for like the last 10 years in his mind. And then he's back on, like, what does that look like? That doesn't sound natural at all. Not like anything in the MCU or the reality powers that Doctor Strange possesses are natural. But that number was definitely weird. And I do remember that. And to say that they only win one outcome, I understand the impact of that line, knowing that they can only do a certain singular specific set of things to save the universe. Yeah, I get that and I agree with that. But if they brought that number down and said that maybe he only looked at 100 and maybe 1,000 outcomes or something, that would have been a bit more easy to wrap your head around.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. Endgame was confirmed when Infinity War was out. Right? That's the issue. People had already signed on for the next movie. Yep. Right? We already assumed the quantum realm situation because of the fact that Ant-Man and the Wasp tackled that, right? Or was it the first Ant-Man?
No, the first Ant-Man, he went into the quantum realm for the first time, and
the second one got lost in it, right?
The second one, they went,
Dude, those are so forgettable movies, and unfortunately, same with the Doctor Strange solo movie. I don't know why I can't remember, but anyway.
Really.
But anyway, what was I saying? It's just so artificial. We already know that something's going to happen in Endgame. Something they're going to win because it's the Avengers. Let me tell you, Ross. If Disney were to have their main cast lose in Endgame, and then just pick up the pieces following the movies, that'd be the greatest thing the MCU has ever done and will ever do. They're not going to do that. Of course they're not going to do that. They have so much star power. They have so much money to make. So that 14 million line just just had no weight. If he said, I scanned through 1,243 possibilities and we won 2.
Yeah.
It's way easier to take in a number like that. But 14 million, artificial stakes.
But I think we can both agree that for the most part, I mean, you know, it couldn't have been perfect. These things slipped in, you know. Maybe they have a better, you know, reason. Maybe they have better reasoning for this you haven't thought of. You know, who knows? But they are things that I thought about too. You know, they are things that I think about too, even though I thoroughly enjoy watching Infinity War. It's like Revenge of the Sith. You know, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite movie of all time. And it is also one of the most hated movies of all time. And I certainly recognize its flaws as well. Yeah. And I notice them every time I watch it. But I freaking love it. Not that you can really compare the two, because Infinity War is obviously a much better crafted film overall. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting that I'm glad that we brought these things up, because I feel like they, like these specific problems that, you know, are in Infinity War often go unspoken, which is okay, but worth the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think talking about the flaws of a movie makes me enjoy the movie overall more, because now I'm gonna respect the things that Infinity War did. I'm gonna respect them so much more. The great things that they did, the fight scene in Scotland. Oh my God, is that awesome? Now that's stakes. That's real stakes. That's not artificial stakes. Vision getting stabbed through the chest, not being able to phase out. Are you kidding me? That is insane. Like that. I honestly, the first time I watched the movie, I was like, oh God, Vision dies so early in this movie. Of course he didn't, but that's real stakes. You can have stakes in a movie where you already know that these people are reprising their roles in a coming movie. You can have stakes, but just do it right. Make it so somebody's power isn't working. Okay, and real quick, before I get into the power not working thing, because that's what Mark Ruffalo Hulk comes to mind immediately, he should never be on the battlefield. Bruce Banner should never be on the battlefield. The Hulkbuster armor just drives me nuts. I'm sorry, dude. It just drives me nuts. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, even Tony Stark didn't get on the battlefield without a suit.
Exactly.
You know?
So why would you put Bruce Banner
like, if he's in the Hulkbuster, if he's in the, well, I'm saying, like, if he's in the Hulkbuster, he's in an Iron Man suit in the Hulkbuster. You know?
Yeah, it's just...
But Tony also has combat experience, and whereas the Hulk is just all powerful. He's just an all powerful rage machine that destroys anything and is invulnerable. So it's not like, you know, it's not like those two things translate. When he's not the Hulk, you know, he doesn't have combat skill like Tony does. Yeah. You know, like what we saw Tony do to Thanos in that battle. You know, Tony has experience.
He built the suit. He built the freaking suit.
Yes, I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, that just felt so weird. But anyway, I really hope that they power up Hulk in Endgame. I really do. I hope that we get not an intelligent Hulk. I don't want an intelligent Hulk, but I want a sentient Hulk. You know, kind of the Thor Ragnarok, but more serious and stoic, as opposed to goofy and jovial. I really hope.
Yeah, I agree.
I really hope that Hulk becomes stronger, though, because in the comic books, Hulk is nuts in terms of raw strength. Like, he beats the shit out of Thanos in the comic books before Thanos has the gauntlet.
Yeah, man, Thanos being as invulnerable and strong as the Hulk physically was a little crazy to me. I was not expecting that. I just don't have a problem with it, but like you said, the Hulk needs to sustain his presence as the Hulk when he's on screen. Yeah. And so, yeah, like you said, I hope that they kind of, redirect the strength back to him for Endgame.
I would have preferred if he utilized the gauntlet, because he had the Power Stone at the time. I really wish that he would have, used the Power Gauntlet, even if it was his punches were surrounded by that purple aura. Because I don't think a Titan is not as powerful as a gamma radiation monster in comic book lore, at least.
Well, yeah, in the MCU, they went a different round. They did say that, a big part of establishing Thanos' raw strength was for him to not need to use the Power Stone and just take out the Hulk, by his own sheer strength and skill in combat.
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope that he returns to power in the coming movies.
Yeah, man, I agree.
Yeah. That was a good conversation. But anyway, Endgame trailer. Now we got to talk about the Endgame trailer. Now that we've talked about Infinity War in the past MCU.
Oh man!
Holy crap! Was that trailer? Oh my god, the flashback sequences, the symbolism of red, symbolizing, you know, death, blood, the MCU as well, the Marvel logo. That was
For
awesome.
sure.
What do you
Yeah,
think
it
about
was
that?
such a great tribute to the MCU, and I absolutely loved Tony's opening dialogue. You know, man, it feels like God, it feels like 1,000 years ago he fought his way out of that cave, became Iron Man. You know, I loved all of that. I loved the parallels and the callbacks to Pepper. Um, you know, a lot of people are saying that the Russo, you know, a lot of people are subscribing to what was said back, I think, when the first trailer came out, that they were only going to be seeing 20 minutes. You know, what we're seeing in the trailers is only going to take place in the first 20 minutes. I think what a lot of people have been overlooking is that Kevin Feige said to that reporter who asked him about this that that claim is somewhat true. That is the key word that literally everyone has forgotten. So he did not say that it is exclusively from all the footage we're going to see is going to exclusively be from the first 20 minutes. That is not the case. There will, and I think are, bits and pieces from later on in the movie sprinkled in here, if I were to assume. Because I don't know about you, Tate, but once we get past the really great MCU tribute and we start to get further in the trailer, those shots of Cap on that battlefield and Rocket and War Machine on that battlefield in their new, in Rhodes' new suit and Rocket's new comic accurate costume, and also Nebula on that battlefield. I don't know about you, man, and a lot of people may disagree, but that looks like the final battle to me.
Yeah, I think it does. I think you're completely correct. I mean, I think that Rocket's going to get... I mean, I honestly think... I think Endgame, it's 3 hours long. That's a long time for a movie, but I think a lot of it's going to be exposition, and a lot of it's going to be training. Infinity War was a lot of action because they were preventing the apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
And I think in Endgame, they're going to be fixing the
with like an incredible third act. Like the final act is going to be the culmination.
Hey, but you know what? You know what? Another problem I have with Infinity War, and this is just because of the fact that I'm an asshole, but they break lore, with the powers of the Gauntlet specifically. You know what I mean?
You mean
like
comic lore?
No. Like their own lore. Like Thanos could just use the powers on Reality Stones and just destroy everybody, but he doesn't because action sequences. But
well, I mean, and he doesn't feel the need to, and he's respectful, and he actually admires them.
Right, but also from film lore, why don't they just strangle baby Thanos in the cradle, in the crib? Right? Come on. If they're going to the quantum realm anyway, get the time stone back from the past.
Who knows? Yeah, we'll find out, man. What we do know about Endgame is that the story can literally go any direction. I mean, I've heard of a few different potential leaks about what, you know, a few things that could happen. We're not going to go into them here, but I mean, yeah, man. I also really appreciated in that grayscale tribute, the callbacks to Asgard, because I often feel like the original Thor is just so neglected. You know, it is, to me, an incredible movie. I love the first Thor, and I love Asgard, and I feel like that was something that was lost. You know, the beauty of Asgard and the music was just so phenomenal. I'm glad they brought that back. And, you know, just for this final trailer to just pay tribute. I appreciated that. But, dude, how about that shot of Hawkeye with his family? I think that's where they get snapped away. That's where it's going to happen, man. He's having a picnic. He's starting to train his daughter with a bow. It is the perfect scenario. That's where she gets erased.
Yep, I agree with you. Oh, my gosh. That is going to be a scene, dude. I wonder it starts with that kind of stuff. I do.
I wonder how they're going to handle them. Like, how are the characters going to handle this? Because you have to, like, you know, I remember, like, we talked about this. Thor is essentially responsible for trillions of people dying all across, all because he didn't aim just a little bit higher for Thanos' head, and he very, you know, rightfully so wanted Thanos to feel it, you know? And then you have Hawkeye losing his entire family. And apparently, you know, maybe Scott lost his entire family too. I haven't seen them so overgrown. They're not there.
Yeah. You know? Oh, yeah, his house is overgrown. I think he's gonna have a quantum realm situation where he just appears all of a sudden. He's like, holy shit, what happened to everybody?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, like I wonder if they're really going to nail the gravity of the situation for these specific characters that lost the most. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
So Jeremy Renner specifically. I mean, he's more of an action star, but he has some really emotional moments through cinema, and I think he will show that and showcase that very, very well.
I hope so, man, because this is going to be it for him. I guess this would be a good time to bring up death predictions for who we think is going to go.
Jeez.
And man, personally, I really do think that like anything goes. I think that Captain America, I think Steve Rogers is definitely going to die, or he's going to be reinserted back into World War II somehow to live out the rest of his days with Peggy. I don't know how that would be possible.
No, that's awesome. You brought that up last week, and I think that is just such a great idea.
Yeah. I think that Nebula's dead. I think Hawkeye's dead. I think Rhodey's
dead. I think Hawkeye might. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with Hawkeye.
Well, it's the same thing with Hawkeye almost as Cap. He's either dead or he's gonna go live off with his family and completely hang it up.
Yeah, I think he's gonna completely hang it up. That's my opinion.
Like once he sees that he's no longer needed, like once Captain Marvel enters the fray. But at the same time, I wonder there's a conflict there because then if Steve dies, if Tony dies, Hawkeye's gonna feel the need to come back. And that's a big thing to me, too, is to the people who say, oh, no, Tony's probably not going to die. He can just, recede into the MCU and just go off and live with Pepper. It's like, here's the problem, man. He's not going to be able to watch these major disasters that they've, and just stand by.
That's the whole point of Infinity War, is that he can't stand by when the aliens invade. Pepper calls him when he's on the alien spaceship, and he's like, I have to do this. This is my duty.
Yeah.
Right?
And so to me, that's not an option for a lot of these characters, for them to just, F off and be like, everything is great. I'm living in heaven now. The world is on fire, but it's okay. Captain Marvel's got it. I've got the technology and skill to help potentially turn the tide of whatever battle may be going on in Phase 4. And it's like, for them to just not show up is not within their characters. I think that they have to die to explain why they would not be there for these future events that are inevitably coming after Endgame with the future of the MCU. So that being said, I think, I think those guys are definitely going to go, and I think Thanos is going to go because, there's nothing left for Thanos after this, story-wise. There really isn't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And that's a large part of why I also think Nebula is going to absolutely die, because her character is solely connected to him and exacting vengeance on him. And once he is gone, her story is done. So,
but so is
Nebula's
unfortunately.
Nebula's either going to deal the final blow, or she's going to die trying, and that's going to be the end of her story. And then but personally, a lot of people have been saying, I've seen a lot of this online, that Nebula should be the one to kill Thanos. I don't agree.
No, I disagree too.
I understand that she's the one that is the most directly connected to him. I get that. But over the last 10 years of the MCU, they have set this up for us to fully be behind Steve Rogers and Captain America and Tony Stark as the frontrunners of the MCU to defeat Thanos. They are the leaders of the Avengers, and they are the ones who have to do it together. That is the big thing. I have no problem if, say, Nebula deals the final blow while Captain America and Tony are helping, but they have to do it together. That's the big thing. I really don't think that any one character should deal the final blow. Much like that one shot in Age of Ultron, how Vision, Tony, and Thor were working together. I think it's got to be something like that on a much larger scale.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say, though, the two main characters of Infinity War were really Tony Stark and Thor. So I do think that because of the fact that Thor has lost so, and of course Thanos, but I think that because of the fact that Thor has lost so much, I think he's going to be the one to deal the final blow on Thanos. Or they're going to say he already had his chance. It would be really good if, because of the fact that Tony won during the Chitauri invasion, the 2012 invasion.
Yeah,
it'd be really good if he killed Thanos. It'd be very much like they die simultaneously. Like Thanos stabs him or whatever's him, and
like Superman Doomsday style.
Exactly, Superman Doomsday, but Tony and Thanos, because it's such a David versus Goliath situation.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. and then maybe Nebula is dying or something next to him, but she like just shoved a knife in Thanos' back, and he's already weak, and Tony just kind of deals that like over the edge kind of final blow. I think that'd be really, really cool.
For me, yeah, I think the only ways to kill Thanos is it has to either be done together, or the other Avengers have to try their hardest, be defeated, and then either Steve or Cap deal the final blow. Or maybe the two of them do it together. Those are the only real, outcomes that I feel would be appropriate. And I think, another thing too is also I think Rocket could die. I think that's certainly possible. I don't think so, but I think it's up, it's not impossible.
Bradley Cooper is such good star power though for the Guardians movies. He's just that's such a good name to put on the poster.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, man, and I think this is something that goes unspoken too about Endgame is that because this is culminating the entirety of the MCU up until this point and all the success of this cinematic universe. We've talked about this. It's got to be the greatest piece of cinema that like any of us have ever been able to bear witness to. It has to be just the final act of Endgame just has to be utterly astounding and mind-blowing in every sense of the word, because all of this, all 20 something of these movies, every single film, everything that Marvel has done, all of the thousands of people involved in making these movies and on the world have been infinitely inspired by them, is culminating to this moment, to this third act. And so it just has to be surreal. It has to be unbelievable. It has to be like a divine experience, for lack of a better term. Yeah. I hope that that's what the Russo brothers have been able to pull off. I really do. But as for characters who I think will survive in Endgame, I still think that I think Thor is safe and Mark Ruffalo, because they said that as long as they're given a script, they will stay on board as long as Marvel will have them. And that's what Marvel likes to hear, man. And they are going to need as many of the original Avengers as possible to continue the MCU into the future. They need as many Avengers from the original team as possible to, shepherd the new ones forward. Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Strange, Spider-Man, etc. Yeah. I think Ant-Man's obviously going to be fine. I think Black Widow's going to be fine, especially because her solo movie coming out, I don't think is going to be a prequel.
I hope
so. I think she's going to be fine.
She's a Joker situation where she's better without a backstory.
Yeah. I mean, well, Captain Marvel, obviously fine. Well, yeah, of course. And then, I think, Okoye is going to be fine. Valkyrie's. We can pretty much nail, we can lock down a bunch of them here. But I do think War Machine's going to die.
That makes sense.
And this is also a big thing, too, with both Don Cheadle and Jeremy Renner. The two guys are getting old, man.
That's true. Comparatively.
It's time to go. It's time to go. And I think that's why that's really the biggest thing for me. And that's really what makes me firmly believe that Don Cheadle and Jeremy Renner are done after this. I think those two characters are going to die.
I hope
because they need to go.
I hope
they've gotten too old.
I hope he sacrifices himself for Tony or something like that, because he's such a patriot. Yeah. And we have known his character since 2008. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I think 10 years is a great run for a character. An amazing run for a character.
Yeah.
Especially a B side character.
Dude, yeah. I mean, Rhodey's story and those two stories wrapping up, I think, in Endgame is definitely the most fitting. What do you think about Hawkeye? Ronan being in Japan, like just taking on a crime syndicate there. That's Black Widow swooping in.
That is awesome. I really hope that that they have to deal with the snap for like a good year, 2 years, 3 years, even hell 5 years. Because if we see Ronan, a very vigilante, very much conditioned and back in full fighting shape, fighting off crime because of the fact that the world will be in pretty much disarray completely. Yeah, man, I think that it would be awesome to see him just kicking some behind, some bad guys behind.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if this is true, but it looks like the ship that he's on is probably an alien ship of some kind.
Yeah.
there's also another rumor, which I won't get into because it could be a spoiler for what those tunnels could be. But yeah, man. And also that one shot of Thor where he's looking at Stormbreaker. Have you heard the rumor about this, about what that could be?
I have not.
This is not a spoiler. You can guess this just by looking at it, but I guess slight spoilers if you are concerned about a shot that's already clearly, pretty much expressing what it is. If you just
mute the audio.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler, man, but that being said, he's looking at Stormbreaker like he's up in the air considering something. Like he's, it looks like a flashback to Infinity War, the Battle of Wakanda, while he's up in the air about to go down on Thanos. And that in Endgame, they're going to provide additional context to that scene, that it just wasn't a spur-of-the-moment spontaneous thing, that Thor was flying around, taking out Outrider ships, saw Thanos, and then just made a quick beeline and didn't really think about it. No, they're going to make a point that Thor stopped, thought about what he wanted to do, and then went in for the kill.
Well, I mean,
and so making him even more responsible for his action.
Yeah, I mean, Thor is such, especially in Thor 1 and 2, he is such a creature of pride. And that's another thing that we lost in Ragnarok, is he started becoming more humble and jovial. But he's such a creature of pride. I think that it would be amazing if you had a flashback sequence where he's beating the shit out of himself, beating himself up, just saying, oh my god, I ruined everything. You flash back to him, and he has some sort of internal monologue saying, I'm gonna defeat Thanos, and I'm gonna make sure everybody sees me defeat Thanos, kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly. Like success is guaranteed. He's at full strength. He knows there's no other outcome. He doesn't know Vision is down there dead, and that Thanos just got the Mind Stone. So much of what happens with Thor's story, it is so predicated on him just not knowing what's going on. It's just. Everything has just gone against Thor, man. Everything. Absolutely. Oh my god! And he is what a great character. But, of course, at the end we get the money shot of all of them in the white and red suits that are supposedly quantum realm suits that they use to travel down safely into the quantum realm. We knew these were coming. The toy leaks have been absurd. I mean, we have had an ungodly amount of pictures of the characters in the suits. Hell, man, I already have a Lego minifigure of Cap in the suit. I mean, it's like, we know they're going to have these suits. And I think the Russo brothers and the Marvel, marketing team knew this. I think everybody, they also knew that, okay, people know that Tony and Nebula are going to get back. And so they inserted this shot, to give us the look at the suits and to show, Tony and Nebula make it back and they're getting started on a plan. Yeah. And so seeing the suits now in, what they look like on the cast, what they look like in person. Listen, man, I still don't hate them. I don't love them, but I also don't have a problem with them. I do think they're a little too smooth looking, and the arms lack detail that kind of make it almost look like they're unfinished.
Dude, they look like action figures. I'm sorry. I think they look so good.
But yeah, man, it's been a great time, I imagine, for the toy company. Lego has take the line, copy, paste, and just swap out heads. I mean, that's literally what has packs, just giving you a male, female body and just put on whatever heads you want, man. It's pretty funny. But the one thing that I think is going unaddressed here is that the Super Bowl ad, and we all know that Marvel edits trailers, but this has been become very clear with this shot in particular after the Super Bowl ad, because in the Super Bowl TV spot, we only see this shot from afar, so they're only silhouettes, and we can't see what they're wearing. But that being said, we could see Rhodey in the background in his standard War Machine suit, his standard War Machine armor. There was clearly no Quantum Realm white or red going on in War Machine. Thor was also very clearly one of those silhouettes, and we could see Rocket. Now, in this new version of the shot that obviously cuts around 2 or 3 different times, Thor is nowhere to be seen from these specific angles. We can't see Rocket in this one. And now Rhodey has the Quantum Realm suit over the top of his armor. And so this shot is very clearly going to be manipulated, which means wind up not even being in the, much like the money shot from the first Infinity War trailers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Real quick, I find it quite peculiar that Tony has his whole nanobot suit, but Rhodey is kind of kicking it with the older style just armor situation, and that's probably because of armaments and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
the self-replicating nanobot technology is awesome because it can be torn apart and it can regenerate itself and make any weapon possible. So that's just something kind of strange to think about. Like, why didn't Tony give like half of his nanobots to Rhodey?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was wondering that too. Why? Yeah, but it's always been a running theme. I think a running joke in the MCU that Tony gives his new tech to Rhodey after the fact.
Yeah,
Sure. But one thing that I find interesting about this is I almost am starting to believe now that the quantum realm suits, or again, these could be space suits. We still don't have a full 100% lock on what these are supposed to be, but the red energy that's shining underneath certainly looks like quantum energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But the point is,
safe to say.
I think these suits may act in the same way as Tony's Mark 50 with his nanotech, and that maybe he, lends a hand to the making of these, and because the suit clearly, smoothly goes over the top of Rhodey's armor.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, that can only be done with the nanotech. Otherwise, Tony's wearing 2 sets of armor, man.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
So I think these quantum realm suits probably have nanotech in them, and so that they actually just build and construct over their bodies. And so I think that's definitely an interesting thing. And also, speaking of the quantum realm, one thing we almost forgot to touch on is the time jump that is definitely going to happen in Endgame at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, man. And we now know Captain Marvel, and but then I think it's made very clear that when Widow still has the blonde hair, Steve still has his Infinity War, it's his Infinity War hairstyle and his beard and all that stuff. And they have come back to Avengers HQ to take stock of just exactly how bad this is and what has happened. And then from that point, I think, the first act is going to take place shortly after Infinity War. I think that the Avengers could get desperate, and maybe they make some desperate attack on Thanos, try to go to the garden world where he is, try to retrieve the Infinity Gauntlet. Maybe Thanos attacks Avengers headquarters when he starts to realize that the Avengers are still functioning, or whatever they're doing, and he gets wind of it. That would be nuts. But I think the time jump will happen in the second act.
Yeah, I agree.
And Scott will come out of the quantum realm, and suddenly it'll be 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
And it'll be 1 to 5 years in the future. Absolutely.
Yeah. I really do think though. I mean, I think that we shouldn't rule out the whole Thanos snaps himself theory. I that's something that I really like. And perhaps
roll out the what?
The Thanos snaps himself theory. The really? Garden planet that he's on is his form of being eradicated from the universe. So what I'm thinking, and this is super ballsy, like a ballsy thing that
yeah, you gotta elaborate.
When Thanos snaps, he snaps himself out of existence. Him existing on the Garden Planet exists outside of the universe. And the children of Thanos become the main antagonists of Endgame, the ones that are really ushering forward. Like let's say first act, instead of Thanos coming down and attacking them, I just don't think that that's within his character. I think that that's something the children of Thanos would do. Second act, we have the time jumps, all that kind of stuff. And then third act, we have the big fight against Thanos. Because past Thanos, right? I think that is something we shouldn't rule out. Because I think that would be more in character. I don't think Thanos would complete his mission and then come out and then just kill the Avengers. Because if he wanted to kill them, they'd be dead.
No, dude, he would if he realized that they were actually a serious threat to actually being able to undo the snap. If he realized that they actually were onto something, I think he would definitely show up.
Okay.
Because then they are undoing everything. I mean, that I think warrants him assaulting Avengers HQ in upstate New York. But, what we did get, and I forgot to bring this up earlier, we did get a couple new Empire magazines.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
from Endgame.
Yeah.
And the first one just shows the original 6 Avengers with an Infinity War PNG of Hulk in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one is a brand new shot of Thanos in Endgame. We are moving beyond the toy league. moving beyond that one shot of his arm in from the first trailer. Now we get a good, clear look at Thanos in the armor, in Endgame, in his final form, wearing the gauntlet, and he looks upset. He looks tired and exhausted and aggravated. And
absolutely.
I mean, he looks so great. That looks like the ultimate Thanos. I cannot wait to burn my wallet to get the Hot Toys version of that next year when they produce it. I mean, oh man.
Okay, yeah. So Thanos in that picture, I mean, that he's in his armor, right? It looks like it's the same armor from the very beginning of Infinity War. I think that that's past Thanos. I do. I think that that's past Thanos. He's seeing all...
No, man, because he has all the stones.
Oh, he does. You're right. Yeah, and they're in his hand. Never mind.
Yeah, no, it's Thanos. He has to put the armor on because his arm got baked from the snap, and now he's physically overall weaker. Yeah. I mean, that's something that I think they're gonna that they made clear, the Russo Bros, when Infinity War came out, that they're gonna really drive home in Endgame that he can't pull off the same physical feats that we saw him do on Titan. I mean, he is weaker. He cannot just fight off all the Avengers. I think he's going to be leaning into using the stones even more than he was.
Yeah,
I mean, I wonder if even the stones will be weaker now. You know,
they should be. I mean, they do have a recharge situation in the comics. They're not, infinitely powerful.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of context to be had with Thanos and where he's at physically and where he's at, and what can be done. Who knows? Maybe the Infinity Stones are weakened. He can still use them to fight, but they're not going to be snapping away half the universe again, and that's why the Avengers really aren't going after the stones. Or maybe that's totally BS, and I'm just pulling that out of my ass. But I mean, it's definitely an interesting idea. Yeah, man, I think that's pretty much most of what I have to say in regards to Endgame. That was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I do want to add, I think that we're going to see more of the Children of Thanos, kind of a first act Infinity War kind of done again. I do think that they're going to be the ones to attack Avengers HQ. I do. Listen,
man, the Children of Thanos were a letdown. They got caught up in the massive movie that was Infinity War. There was no time for so they were just one-dimensional, fantastic-looking CG characters that were just amounted to nothing.
But I think that was good. I think that was more than enough for their purpose, because they're just projections of Thanos' goal. That's all they are. They're not their own characters. They're pieces of
But Thanos. I still do think, one thing that I think the audience probably has no idea of and forgot because they didn't we needed one flashback with them. Just one. Because you needed to show that those are not just the children of Thanos. Those are also Gamora and Nebula's adoptive family that they grew up with fighting.
That is true.
And they are, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
They don't make that clear at all in Endgame. Ebony Maw, Cull Obsidian, Proxima Midnight, those are all the brothers and sisters of Gamora and Nebula that they all grew up together, That's and true. So I think that was completely lost in Infinity War, which is why I think one flashback is needed. Either, was needed in Infinity War, maybe briefly in Endgame. I don't know. Insert that, though.
I don't think they do it again in Endgame. I think that Endgame is going to be very much the Avengers.
Yeah. But I would like the idea of them coming back to some extent. I mean, they would be great villains for... to some extent. But I just don't think there's ever going to be a villain in the Thanos with the same power.
There won't be.
I don't think Kang the Conqueror or Galactus or any of them are going to be able to amount to the impact Thanos has had.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was a lot on Endgame. Now, and let's Lego talk for our last 40 minutes or so. I have a leaked image that Ross specifically told me not to show, but I'm going to show it anyway. This is a leaked figure that is coming out with a new line of idea sets. Hopefully it'll pull up. There it is. So there's the new figure coming out with the new sets. What do you think, Ross?
I actually have literally no idea what you're talking about in Discord on my MacBook. So oh, I see it now. Oh my god,
that is
you freaking you show your shot.
That is the new leaked figure for the new wave of the talk show host CMF line.
Oh man,
we weren't supposed to show leaks, so please don't DMCA us, Lego.
So guys, I have a new pack that was due out last year that didn't make it to the States because Toys R Us shut down, and now Lego finally made it available this past month. And oh man, it's so good because I remember this last year vividly, and it was so much fun when I figured it out. But I was looking at that new Rhodey head, and I knew it didn't quite look as good as Lego's previous Don Cheadle head. If anything, this new Rhodey head was a departure from his likeness. What did it look like, though? I knew it looked like someone, and I finally placed it. It was Steve Harvey, just without the mustache. The mouth is perfect. The eyes, the curves under the eyes and on top of them, the eyebrows. It is Steve Harvey's exact likeness. And it's you just slap a mustache on there, and it is perfect. And so I finally now got the pack in hand a year later, painted that mustache on, did a whole fun video on it, and it's going up today, I think at 3:45, actually in like 20 minutes or so. Eastern Standard Time, and so that'll be up soon. That should be a really fun video. But oh my god, dude, it is unbelievable how ridiculously uncanny it is. It is fantastic in every way, and I just love it. I think anybody who is familiar with Steve Harvey or Family Feud or any of the work he's done over his life, if you just take that Rhodey head and throw a mustache on, it's pretty funny, man. It's great. And it's also removable paint, by the way, so I can scrape that off, like, and peel it off, basically.
But why would you want to? Why would you want
exactly? I mean, that head's going to be that new Rhodey head, Steve Harvey head, is going to be in the Endgame sets of the War Machine Busters. So, awesome. Yeah, but dude, that 4-pack is so good. I mean, when Lego is just selling minifigures alone, wow, they go double molded legs and side printing, brand new faces. They're not cutting any corners when they're literally just making the figures, man. I hope that they're not discouraged after Toys R Us shutting down to make more.
They cut corners a bit with the Harry Potter ones. But these Avengers ones are nuts. They're really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving forward, we have Ninjago leaks. Do you call it Ninjago or Ninjago?
It's Ninjago.
Okay. Ninjago. Sorry.
But I'm not into Ninjago at all. I don't know if you are, dude, but
I'm not, but it's something good to address for everybody. So we have
so we're going to cringe our way through this.
Oh yeah.
There are hardcore Ninjago fans that are going to pick this conversation apart, so let's go, man.
Oh, dude, they're going to kill us. But anyway, we have leaks of new Ice Samurai guys. Those look really good. One of them has one of them has a Guandao inspired weapon, which is a Chinese weapon. So I don't know why it's a Japanese themed set, but anyway, I'm a kung fu martial artist, so I'm really into that. The fact that they have a Guandao now. They have new snake heads. So they have these Ice Samurai, Frostwalker looking things, Frostwalkers from Game of Thrones. And then they have these anyway.
I know what they look like, I just don't know anything about them.
And then they have these fire sand snake things. So they're kind of a duality of fire and ice, which is kind of cool. And and then we have dual molding for the new Ninjago cowls, which is really cool. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, Ninjago, man. That big set they released like a year or two ago looks really great. That's all I know about it.
The Ninjago City, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know anything. Awesome. Okay. I didn't even see the movie. I don't think anyone did.
I didn't. No.
Yeah.
Here is the no, not here is, but we're gonna be talking about the Harry Potter leaks now. I'm super excited about this new Buckbeak mold. New Patronus stag mold, and the best thing about the Patronus stag mold is that we're gonna get a normal buck stag, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna get a stag molded creature, which is awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Just Harry Potter Lego leaks. We're gonna have a Hagrid Hut set. We're gonna have a Expecto Patronus Woods set. We're going to have a clock tower set, I think it said. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. And as a mock maker, I love the fact that we're getting a stag mold in the future.
I've got to watch those movies, man.
You've never seen them?
Nope, never read the books, nothing.
Yeah, the books are really good. The books are... I genuinely think that the Harry Potter books are great. I think the movies are pretty good. There's a couple of them that are way better than the rest. But anyway, that's the Lego leaks for today.
And as for the Endgame sets coming out, we're already at what's today? Like March 16th?
Today is the 16th.
Dude, man, these Endgame sets are not coming out. Like, there's still only been one guy in the UK. I think only a few people who have found like a handful. They're just not showing up yet.
Doesn't
So I
NMR have
wonder.
one or something like that? I thought I saw.
No, I think Ryan just got a few of the new 20th anniversary Lego.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, man, the Endgame sets are not showing up. I mean, I'm about to start, Vigor. They are going to show up soon, but they're just not. It's pretty surprising. But yeah, so I mean, I wonder if like is Lego going to like start shipping those out to the U.S. after April 1st? Like, is April 1st not going to be the release date, but the shipping date? Like, I wonder how it's going to go. I really do this time.
Endgame comes out on the 16th, correct? April 16th.
The 26th.
The 26th. So it's 10 days off. Not too bad. But anyway, I think if they give the fans 3 weeks to get the sets, I think that'll be the goal there. So
Yeah,
think,
man.
yeah, as long as it's 3 weeks, so the ship date could be April 1st.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to reviewing them. It's going to take up a lot of time. We've talked about those sets and their ups and downs.
Yeah, that was last week. If you haven't seen it already, we had the test podcast from last week. If you want to check that out,
the Endgame sets are half good and half shit, but
yep. Lego Pete says, "What about the DC leaks?" So yeah, the DC leaks also look really good. It looks more. They're not as good as the Lego Batman movie sets because Lego goes all out for their original IPs. It's hard to say that's an original IP, but anyway. Yeah, those figures were great. The leaked Batman figures look really good. There's a Riddler figure using the lime green, which is great. He has a new headpiece that looks a lot like Captain Boomerang. I don't know why they're using it for Riddler, but that figure looks great. There is a new Catwoman using the Lego Batman movie headpiece with the silver goggles that's coming out. There is a Robin that looks amazing. It looks like a comic accurate Jason Todd. It looks like a 2008 Jason Todd torso, which is awesome.
One thing I'm still holding out hope for, I wish that Lego would Teen Titans animated show version of Cyborg. They've already done the render before in like a graphic from a long time ago. I forget what it was for. I'm still holding out hope that we'll see that one day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it didn't come out with Lego Dimensions. Is that what the game was called? Would they release?
Yeah. No, I mean they did all the Titans except for him.
Yeah, they did do it. Though they did the weird comic version, like the comic-y TV
that's right. Yeah. I've had enough.
Raven.
Oh, Raven. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Cyborg because they did have Cyborg, but it was the standard comic silver version.
That was the comic version. No, but I mean the Raven. I think they should redo, and the Cyborg they should redo the original Titans version.
I think the Raven was pretty close to the original Titans version, don't you?
Well, it had really big comic-y eyes and then a comic-y torso.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dark Brick Productions asks, "What's your favorite Endgame set?" What's yours, Ross? The Hall of Armor.
Oh yeah, the Hall of Armor, hands down. That is like a perfect Iron Man set.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Like, I think that's gonna be the one that I review first if I get my hands on it first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
I think you should.
Like, yeah, that's the one I'm just making a beeline for, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then as for me, I don't collect Lego sets, so. And then to wrap up the Lego talk, well, not to wrap it up, but another talking point, Eclipse Graphics is doing a minifigure combo contest.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they are giving away $200 to the winner of the contest, which is nuts.
All right, Victor.
Yeah, Victor. Gee whiz, Mr. Moneybags. I'm going to be entering the contest. I don't have a figure. I have... It's hard to call my thing a figure. It's more of a mech suit, but it uses figure parts, and I'm really excited to show that off. So
sweet.
Dude, if I win that, I will be so heady. I'll be like, yeah, dude, $200 richer.
Oh my god, dude.
But yeah, so anyway, anybody who's interested in entering the contest, it's just any figure using custom parts, custom combinations of parts. It could be Eclipse, it could be Citizen Brick, doesn't matter. It could be Brickmania, doesn't matter. Victor will be awarding points for nice parts usage, for using Eclipse graphics, and for using the Halo body that he has. He's going to give you bonus points for using the little Halo body. So yeah, That's that.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should enter it, Ross, because he's allowing you to paint your figs. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we know what MGF stands for, right? Making great figs, so.
Oh yeah, man. I'm so tied up with Endgame though. God.
Oh, I bet. But,
Yep.
that's...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the Endgame showcase, the quick status, still have to finish up Captain Marvel. Gotta paint the entirety of the detail on her legs, back of the torso, helmet, and get started on Thanos to hopefully have a few figures ready to go for the launch of the movie next month. So it's still, we're going, and I'm about to do a making of video for Captain Marvel series going the development of Endgame, because I know a lot of people are still looking for that, and because there's been such little reference for all the costumes in Endgame, I haven't exactly been full steam ahead, because it's like, the current project scope is limited until we actually see the movie and get more reference. So
yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's address the lack of photographs of the cast. Would you like to delve a little bit deeper and kind of
yeah, man. I mean, like, I understand, because and I think it's really great and quite an achievement that they've gotten far in the MCU and had so much success over the last decade, to where now we are at the final movie, the final finale movie with the original Avengers, and they don't even need to show anything to get $1 billion, to get attention. The money is guaranteed. That's phenomenal and never been done before. I mean, so I understand, I understand not showing much, that they've earned it. They've earned the limited marketing campaign. But obviously that's problematic for me, because I can't get started on my figures until, on a good portion of them until much later. So like right now, I can do Captain Marvel, of course. I can do Thor, Cap, Captain America, and Thanos, and the Quantum Realm suits. But for everybody who is like, hey, look at this Endgame trailer, look at all the new reference of War Machine and Rocket and this and that. It's like, yeah, but the problem is I need more than just their chest.
Right.
So really, the trailer, gives me an idea, allows me to, come up with some ideas, but I really can't execute until I have more.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, you're not just going to paint, a torso and call it a showcase. Who wants to see that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm just not seeing backs or anything. I mean, we're not seeing their legs.
Arms.
We're not seeing the entirety of their arms yet. I don't know what's on their shoulders at, half the time. Right. Just different things like that make it so, like, last year Bucky, when I was picking him for Infinity War, I just didn't have the back of his torso design, so I just winged it, and it wound up being inaccurate, but it worked. But that was, one instance, and I would really prefer to not do something like that, especially when it's this bad, with even less reference for like half the cast.
Of course.
So suffice it to say, I'm not going to be able to make Rescue anytime soon, or Ronin even, or Blackwood. Just need more reference, and those figures will come in time over the summer.
Yeah, well, great. Well, thanks for talking.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for talking about the fix. I mean, that's what we're all thinking about. Anyway, one last kind of final statement before we go into closing, and before we go through chat and read that. The Blu-ray for Into the Spider-Verse is coming out.
Hell yeah, man. I'm going to be there day one.
90 minutes of extras. That's going to be
I'm
awesome.
going to watch the crap out of those extras. I mean, oh my God, the passion inserted into that movie by, the couple hundred people that worked on it is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that's my favorite Spider-Man movie. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie. I confidently can say that to anybody. I think that is the best Spider-Man movie.
I would feel obliged to agree.
Into the Spider-Verse. Holy crap. Last year was a fantastic year for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Some might say it was a spectacular year for Spider-Man.
Oh.
Perhaps an amazing year for Spider-Man. And then pulling it back to the 60s, a stupendous
oh my God.
Spider-Man. All of the stupid taglines for Spider-Man. No,
perfect.
Oh, was that a good movie? Are the extras going to be great? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and Stan Lee had more cameos in it than I realized. He had like 3.
Yeah.
He was on board the train, and he was like walking in the crowd on the sidewalk at one point.
Yeah, and of course he was in the shop, the Spider-Man gift shop.
Yeah. But
But yeah, so now we're going to read chat. We're going to kind of, I guess, a quick Q&A we could call it kind of situation to wrap up the podcast. How does that sound?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Yeah, so let's go through chat. We're going to just go a little bit up here. Lego Pete says, Thanos is supposed to be scared of Hulk, and then apparently the Avengers try to attack Thanos at the beginning of the movie, and that's where the trailer footage is from. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I understand that possibility, or the idea that those little bits and pieces are probably from the end, if I were to guess, because of what Kevin Feige said about that claim only being somewhat, keyword, accurate.
Yeah. It's just interesting to think about, really.
Absolutely, man.
Because
if that's the case, man, Avengers HQ is gone.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Just rubble.
And if it's not, then they're doing it wrong. Yeah, no, I think that the world should pretty much end, and then they go through the quantum realm and fix everything. Because it'll be so awesome to just see them completely at their worst, at their lowest.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Okay,
but
so going through, I'm gonna scroll a little bit higher in chat.
Yeah, these are like from an hour ago now. I don't even know if whoever wrote them is still here.
Actually, Sun in the Bat says, do you think Thanos will go one-on-one with the Hulk? I hope. I really do hope. I hope that Thanos beats the shit out of Hulk, but I hope that Hulk actually poses a challenge this time.
What do you think, Ross? No, for sure. I agree. I mean, if they don't, I'm fine with that, because they had a pretty, sparring match in the beginning of Infinity War, of course. But, I'd be okay with, having a fight with the Hulk or not.
Yeah.
Against Thanos. So.
Hello, Tim Sargent. Yeah. Hello. He says hi. Tim Sargent says hi.
What's up, Dramatic Fanatic? How you doing? And Son of the Bat, Nick LS. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys joining in. It's been really awesome.
We have
who do we think?
More comment real quick.
Who do we think is for sure going to die? Yeah, well. So, if you'd be kind to just sift back through in the VOD once this goes published on the channel.
Yeah, but
that's where we talked about it at length.
Yeah, real quick, just quick synopsis. Iron Man, Captain America, Rhodey. Those are the three big ones.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can go through it again really quick.
No, let's just kind of open it up to new questions for the next kind of 5 minutes or so.
Let's see how fast I can do it. Who do I think is going to die? Thanos, Tony, Cap, Rhodey, Hawkeye, Nebula, and maybe Rocket. There you go.
There you go. There's our list. Yep.
I did it.
Any final questions, comments, concerns? We will be.
Yeah, guys. Episode 1 of the MGF podcast. Again, temporary name until we come up with a better one. We decided to put it on this new separate channel because I understand that not everybody's on my channel is going to be subscribing for content like this. Everybody's on my main channel over at Michael for the custom minifigures, the reviews, and things of that sort. So to post, a 2-hour long form audio chat may not be, for everybody. And so that's why we decided to make this its own thing. So we could also have an easier time rebranding it. Ross, love your figs. Thank you so much, Son in the Bat. I appreciate it, man. But yeah.
So, wow. Great conversation today. We talked.
Oh yeah, Tate.
We talked at length about Endgame.
So, that was good.
Yeah,
and I think we're looking at Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to keep this up. I think that's a good time that works for both of us.
Absolutely, yeah. And then if you're on the West Coast, we're going to be starting at 11. No, not 11. We're going to be starting at no. Yeah, 11's right. My brain just doesn't work. Yeah, we're going to be starting at 11 Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, I'm on the West Coast, Ross on the East Coast. We're very far apart. So yeah, like you said though, 2 EST and then 11 PST. So yeah. Yeah,
I think that should do it. Again, just to honor the memory of Jackson, Wavy Films.
Oh, of course.
He left a long-lasting impact on not just the people that he knew personally, but also just the entire Lego community, and just was really just a beacon for creativity.
He's an absolute
and just bravery, because I cannot imagine being in the situation that he was for all that time, and to then get on social media, talk with people, and try to maintain a positive attitude when knowing that your life's being cut short. It's something that I cannot even comprehend for somebody of his age, 16, 17. Jackson was such a great kid.
Absolutely.
And I cannot believe that it's gone, that he's gone. I cannot believe that, you know, that it happened so suddenly and so abruptly. It's insane. But I don't mean to end on a bit of a downer, but I just want to do my best to remember him, at least here, because I don't know if or when I'll be able to make a video as a tribute to him, or if other, customers in the community will be able to, or what's going on with that. But yeah, man, Jackson was a great kid.
He was a beacon of strength in the community. He has been fighting so strong, and despite all of the struggles he was going through, he would always, post and make figs, and he used that to kind of cope with everything. He was a great kid who had gleaming eyes. I talked to him a few times. I didn't talk to him that often, but when I talked to him,
he had such a personality, man.
Absolutely. He had
I didn't know Jackson terribly well. We mostly talked through Snapchat after we officially met for the first time at Brick Fair this past year. So we weren't terribly close, but I was close enough to Jackson to know just how kind of a heart he had. He was just such a kind person and just such a good dude. I really, it sucks, and it's not fair. But like I said, he did leave a lasting impact on many of us here that we'll carry with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, he will not be forgotten. That is for sure.
He was a brave kid. But like I said, just wanted to pay tribute one last time at the end of the show here for this episode of the MGF Podcast. Guys, thank you so much for joining in here on the live stream on this new channel that we've got set up for it. Again, the channel name and the podcast name is subject to change. All the graphics you're seeing on the channel is all currently temporary, but I think that this was a really good starting point, and we're going to try to keep this up because, as you just saw, Tait and I can go on and on for hours. So
yeah, I'm starting to think the 2-hour time slot it might not be enough. I'm just teasing. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean the world to have you guys out here watching the podcast
and just having the discussion with us and joining in on the conversation.
Of course.
So that's going to be it until next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific, and whatever time anywhere else.
So thank you guys so much. Thanks again. And this was MGF Live. Thanks so much.
Take care.